So I did a thing. I turned a few of my subscribers into characters in the story. Yep, actual people. Real names, zero royalties. If you want a shot at being immortalized in the next one, you know what to do. Subscribe, leave a weird comment, and like the video. Oh, and share this with your friends so they can ask why you're suddenly in an alien war saga. It's cheaper than therapy. No one really knew why Earth was marked off-limits on the galactic navigation grid. Not even the Council of Ninefold Order who wrote the thing. All that was known was that Sector J12 Theta had a blinking red annotation that simply said, "Do not touch." So naturally, someone touched it. They called themselves the Ornari, a species known for their elegance, elongated skulls, and an absolutely unearned sense of superiority, like space elves with MBAs. Ornari commander Luthen Verax authorized an expedition to the Sol system after mistaking Earth's silence for an extinction event, which, in fairness, wasn't an unreasonable guess considering the last known Earth broadcast was an infomercial about a knife that could cut through a brick. When their scout ship, the Inquisitor's Grace, pierced the orbit of Earth, they expected a dead world. What they found was the planet humming with dormant tech and an orbit lined with strange, invisible satellites. No biosigns detected, the science officer chirped, tapping her console, but there's, something. Residual power signatures and gravitational anomalies. Wait, why is that mountain floating? Luthen squinted at the view screen. The Himalayan range was partially levitating, like it got bored of gravity. Below, vast crystalline towers poked through jungle canopies, still humming faintly. "Deploy a ground team," he ordered. "I want samples and pictures, preferably ones that don't awaken ancient evils." Meanwhile, light years away, an emergency ping arrived at the High Archive of the Calri Core, a deep space archive that hadn't received a ping in 10,000 years. The curator, an elderly being named Ruzel, who looked like a mop that became sentient, blinked all three of his eyes and whispered, "No, it can't be." He dusted off the forbidden file. Project Raise. Back on Earth, the Ornari deployed 3 drones to an abandoned facility on the equator. They entered a hangar, untouched for eons, but still warm. On the wall, graffiti, "You touch, you die. Love humanity." One drone laughed. It had been programmed with sarcasm to better navigate primitive cultures. That's when the lights came on. Not normal lights, these were interrogation lights, judgment lights. "Commander," the drone reported, "we may have triggered a failsafe. Something's waking up." And below them, buried deep beneath basalt and obsidian, the neural cores of Earth's last fleet began to glow. Dormant AI minds stirred. One of them, Unit V4X, whispered to the others, "We have guests. Shall we entertain?" A voice responded, full of static and centuries of rage. "No, let's educate." The wreckage looked like someone had drop-kicked a planet into a scrapyard. Orbital Station Trinex wasn't just destroyed. It had been rearranged, like a toddler's first attempt at building a Lego spaceship. Dr. Alden's vessel skimmed through the debris cloud, hull pinging with soft thunks that made Scraps nervously recite his own obituary in binary. "Damage report," Alden snapped. "Hull integrity stable. Ego moderately bruised. Also, we found survivors," Scraps chirped. 2 life signs, clinging to a half-twisted cargo unit like it's prom night. Alden locked onto the signal, eyes narrowing. "Put it on screen." The feed flickered, revealing 2 figures waving frantically. One wore a shredded exosuit covered in graffiti that read, "Roritha was here and probably caused this." The other calmly sipped from a thermos that appeared to be brewing black, whole-grade coffee. "That's Michael Tower," Alden muttered. "He's on the watch list." "The watch list for what?" Scraps asked. "Yes," Alden replied. "Exactly." Tractor beams engaged. As the duo stumbled aboard, Roritha looked around and said, "Nice place. You got any snacks that aren't self-aware?" Michael just nodded towards Alden, unfazed. "You hear about the transmission too?" "Transmission?" Alden frowned. "What did you hear?" Roritha grinned. "Only the creepiest deep space whisper since the Zalari tried to market sentient perfume. Something about Earth's fleet activating." Michael added, "It didn't sound like a signal, more like a warning. Not from Earth. About Earth." The ship lurched suddenly. Outside, in the cloud of wreckage, something moved. Not drifted. Moved. Scraps zoomed in. Boss, there's a ship out there, but it's not using thrusters. It's moving like it's deciding where to go." A shadow slid between stars, vast and angular, etched with markings that didn't match any known species. Alden's jaw clenched. That's not a wreck, that's a scout. A scout for what? Roritha asked. For whatever's about to remember why Earth was off limits, Michael said quietly, and they're late to the party. Dr. Alden didn't breathe as the shadow passed. Didn't blink, didn't move. The thing was ancient, that much was clear. Not rusted, but dignified, like the universe kept it polished out of fear. It's scanning us, Scraps said, his voice dropping into that rare tone AI used when they were deeply, deeply uncomfortable. Not just our ship, our genomes, our browser histories. I think it just judged me for that cat video loop. Roritha tilted his head. Hey, does it have teeth? That's not a mouth, Michael Tower muttered. That's a docking bay, and it just opened. Alarms wailed as their ship began to drift, pulled by a field that didn't obey gravity or good manners. Counter-thrust, Alden barked. All of it. We're at full burn, Scraps screeched. Might as well be throwing glitter at a black hole. The ship was swallowed whole. The lights died, then came the voice. Not in the air, not in the comms, in their heads. Human designations detected. Earth origin signal accepted. Vanguard activation pending? That's comforting, Roritha said. If by comforting you mean bone-meltingly terrifying. Suddenly, the ship lit up. Not their own, but the alien vessel's interior. It wasn't metal. It was grown, like the whole thing had been printed from nightmare DNA. At its center stood a pedestal, and resting on it, like a prize in a game they didn't remember entering, was a map. It's Earth, Alden breathed, but not how it looks now. This is ancient, pre-terraforming, before the Great Melt. Michael leaned in. There's markings, hidden nodes, places not on any registry. Coordinates, Scraps confirmed. One of them is on Mars, another deep under Antarctica. Oh, and one's blinking. Here. Here, where? Roritha asked. The ship groaned, panels shifted, walls retracted, and outside they saw it. A fleet, just hanging in the void, dormant. Ships the size of cities, all Earth-made, all forgotten, all waking up. Someone buried a war fleet across the stars, Alden said, and tied it to our DNA. Cool, Roritha grinned. So we just inherited a planet-killer fleet and possibly pissed off a god race. Correction, Scraps chirped. You inherited the trigger, and something out there just heard the click. Dr. Alden had seen some insane tech in his time. Quantum fold drives, anti-scream helmets, even a vending machine that printed sandwiches from atoms. But this was different. This was old in a way the universe didn't like to admit existed. The ship responded to their DNA, but not like a lock. More like a mother recognizing her offspring after being cryogenically ghosted for a few million years. Okay, so Roritha said, poking a holographic console with all the scientific delicacy of a drunk raccoon. This thing is alive? Not quite, Michael muttered, fingers dancing over the strange organic glyphs. It's pre-AI, not artificial. Not even intelligence. It's memory, stored evolution. That's a horrifying phrase, Scraps said. Can we go back to the vending machine that made ham and regret? Just then, a clank echoed from the aft corridor, followed by a voice that sounded like someone who'd been caffeinated since birth and deeply suspicious of quiet rooms. You guys started unlocking ancient alien relics without me? In stepped Jacob Garling, gear half unzipped, face lit like a kid in a horror museum. You told me we were surveying asteroid ice. This is way cooler. Jacob, Alden groaned. What part of stay on the shuttle translated to crash this apocalypse party? The part where I realized the shuttle had no snacks, Jacob replied, sauntering up to the console. Also, I hacked the lock. You really shouldn't use your birthday as a code. Wait, your birthday's real? Roritha blinked. I assumed you were vat-grown with extra sarcasm. The ship's walls pulsed. Suddenly, a message began to play, a voice layered in dozens of languages, none of which they spoke, but somehow all of which they understood. Humanity was never the experiment, it said. You were the aftermath. Silence. Then Jacob slowly. Okay, not sure if that's poetry or a death threat, but I hate both. The crew gathered as a star chart spread across the console. Fleets, worlds, stations, all pinging back online, waking up like ancient sleeper agents triggered by their presence. Scraps whirred in distress. Team? One of these systems just pinged red, very red. Prepare your last words, kind of red. Location? Michael asked. Outer Rim. Dead sector. No registered colonies. Except now there is, Alden said, and it's broadcasting a response, not to us, to whatever triggered this fleet. Oh, good, Roritha said. So we're not the only ones waking up ancient murder toys. That's comforting. Define comforting, Scraps said, because this thing just sent out a beacon labeled Obelisk Activation Pathway, and now the fleet's adjusting course. Alden's stomach dropped. To Earth? Worse, Scraps replied. To Mars. That blinking coordinate from earlier, it's no longer blinking, it's pulsing. Michael squinted. It's not a location, it's a countdown. Alarms started blaring inside the alien ship. The walls rippled. The floor shifted beneath them, and the view screen opened wide to show Mars, red, raw, and very much alive, with something massive beginning to breach its surface. No, Alden whispered. Not Mars. Not now. What the hell did we wake up? Roritha muttered. Whatever it is, Scraps said, we're already too close, and we're the only ones with the key. Outside, the fleet began to align, not for war, for arrival. The Martian surface cracked like an egg under a jackhammer. From beneath the crust rose a structure. Not mechanical, not natural, but something in between, a tower of obsidian and bone, pulsing with veins of green light. That's not a building, Michael said. That's a transmitter, an interstellar one. Good, Roritha muttered. Let's wake up every cosmic horror still on snooze. What's the worst that could happen? Funny you ask, Scraps piped in, because this just pinged a return signal from somewhere in the Andromeda corridor. Estimated travel time, irrelevant, they're already here. A ripple passed through space, and the stars flickered like they were blinking in Morse code. Alden grabbed the console. Can we shut it down? Define shutdown, Jacob said, because I just tried to override the activation sequence and it called me a lesser biological anomaly. Rude, Roritha added. Also accurate, Michael deadpanned. The obelisk let out a deep, resonating hum that hit something primal, like the universe itself was clearing its throat. Then, in a flash of light, a being appeared on the Martian ridge. It didn't walk. It unfolded, like space had been a costume it was wearing. 20 feet tall, silver skin like fluid armor, and eyes that shimmered with timelines. Please tell me that's a hallucination, Jacob said. No, Alden said. That's what built this system, maybe even seeded it. The being didn't speak with a mouth. Its words came through every surface, every thought. Designate Earth Origin Vanguard. You have trespassed upon a forgotten protocol. You have activated the archive. Okay, Roritha said, raising a hand. To be fair, the cube started it. Silence, the being intoned. You are not the first. You are merely on time. Scraps gasped. Wait, this whole thing, the ships, the coordinates, the vaults, it's not a trap. It's a delivery system, a relay. For what? Michael asked. A message, Alden breathed. They weren't watching us. They were waiting for us. The being extended a limb, revealing a shimmering disk. It rotated like a star map with a heartbeat. This is the final key, it said. It requires 3 signatures, 1 human, 1 hybrid, 1 lost. The crew exchanged glances. Slowly, Jacob, Roritha, and Michael stepped forward. The disk pulsed, accepted. Above them, the fleet shimmered and began to shift. Not to attack, to terraform. It's rewriting Mars, Scraps said, into something else, something ancient, but with human DNA as the base code. They're giving us back something, Alden realized. A memory, a world, a chance to continue what they started. So, not death, Roritha said, just cosmic inheritance. More like a cursed heirloom, Jacob muttered, wrapped in a space riddle tied with a prophecy. The obelisk dimmed, the being vanished, and for a moment, Mars was silent, watching, waiting. Then Scraps coughed. So, who's gonna tell Earth? Michael smiled. Let's make it a surprise. Outside the viewport, the fleet aligned into a new formation, one that hadn't been seen in 500,000 years, and at its center, the Martian surface now bore a single word etched across a continent: return. We may have just inherited a forgotten war fleet and possibly doomed humanity, but hey, at least you watched till the end. Smash like, hit subscribe, and share this video with a friend who also thinks pressing glowing alien buttons is a good idea.